big guy. That's a lot better. I'll be up here though.
Great. Okay. Well, we'll get him. Okay. Just get him from right there. Okay. Maybe on the way out. Thank you. You want to get a photograph for us?
Absolutely.
Is this the paper or
No, I work with the
this
school.
just for Tennessee
so
Tech?
this goes for
Okay,
the Flick,
sure.
This goes for the Legion.
Governor, if you want to come on out
Okay.
here, where do you?
Yeah, we'll get some of the boys in the background. How about? Yeah, absolutely. There you go. On 1, 2, and one more. Perfect. Absolutely.
Is it the will one of the boys introduce me?
I will introduce you. do is we'll line them up in the aisles and make you just question. Certainly you won't get all of them answered. I say.
Well, that's more fun than looking at me.
They're going to. over here and introduce you. Okay, let me have your attention, please. It's my great honor to introduce the next speaker. Lieutenant Governor Randy McNally is with us today. Governor McNally, as a senator, represented the 5th District, which encompasses Anderson, Loudoun, Monroe, and Knox counties. He was elected recently as the 50th Lieutenant Governor in the history of Tennessee. Lieutenant Governor McNally has had a distinguished career serving our state, being awarded the CASA Presidential Award, the Legislative Hero Award from the Tennessee Association of Mental Health Organization, the TBI, that's the Tennessee Bureau of Investigation Distinguished Award, the Small Business Guardian of Small Business Award, just to name a few. That list could go on and on and on. As chairman of the Senate's Finance, Ways, and Means Committee for a decade, Governor McNally has oversaw the General Assembly's only constitutional prescribed duty, which is the passage of a balanced budget. Governor McNally holds a Bachelor's of Science degree from Memphis State University and a degree from the UT College of Pharmacy. Governor McNally and his wife Janice have 2 adult daughters, Melissa and Maggie, and 3 grandchildren, Haley, Morgan, and Trent. And so please give a warm welcome to Governor McNally.
Thank you very much. It's a real pleasure for me to be here with you, and I very much appreciate the efforts of the American Legion in putting together this great program. Before I start with my remarks, I do have some official duties. This is the one bill that we have to pass. It's the appropriations bill, which designates how $37 billion with a B dollars get spent. 37.1, I believe. And it's been signed by Speaker Beth Harwell, and I'll sign it, and then it will go to the governor to be signed. But they brought a bunch of bills up here, but I wanted you to watch me sign this one, since it's actually the only bill that has to be passed when we're in Nashville. So this will go to the governor, and hopefully he'll sign it, and this will be done. Thank you. Thank you. I'm sure that I'm not the first person that will tell you this, and certainly won't be the last, but you're extremely fortunate to be here. This is an outstanding program, and it's centered on molding true citizen leaders, and nothing could be more important. I hope you take the time to absorb everything here and stay in touch with the people and the friends that you meet. It's so important about the relationships you develop here and the people that you meet. You all are the future leaders of Tennessee, and it's so important that you connect to each other. Being a good citizen is important not only for your success, but for the success of our state and our nation. In Tennessee, we pride ourselves in creating good citizens. Just this session, we mandated that the State Board of Education include a Tennessee history course in our schools in order to make sure every Tennessee student is versed in our history. History and civics are the most important things for the health of our society. Our system of government is an outstanding system, but it depends highly on people being active and being engaged and being informed. Democracy is not a passive endeavor. We need citizens to be informed and engaged, and I am proud that each of you are doing your part. Having been selected to participate in in this program, you have demonstrated that you are potential leaders. As often said, with great power comes great responsibility. And a good leader puts a lot of effort in building a team around him or her, and that's what I have done as lieutenant governor. You need people you can trust, people you can depend on, people who are honest, and people who have good judgment, and people that will actually tell you when you're headed in the wrong direction. You need to be able to depend on their support when the going gets tough. Being a leader can be a lonely feeling, and so you need to have support systems in place to help you through the harder times. I have a great group of senators, Paul Bailey actually from this district, who are very talented and skilled individuals. The most important thing about leadership is learning that you cannot take control of everything. You must take responsibility, and the buck stops with you, but it doesn't mean you have to control all the details, make sure every I is dotted and every T is crossed. A lot of leadership has to do with remaining calm, having a positive outlook in times of crisis inspires calm in others and allows your team to navigate out of the crisis. A leader inclined towards permissive dooms his team towards hopelessness and failure in times of trouble. Integrity is also very essential. No one will follow someone they don't trust and respect. In order to lead, people need to know that your word is your bond. It's a myth that political leadership is about being able to manipulate a solution or persuade people by tricking them somehow. Slick and dishonest politicians may seem to be successful at first, but it always catches up with them one way or another. Decisiveness is another quality that I've found critical in leadership. Being able to assess a situation and make a decision quickly is very important. If you sit and wring your hands for days about tough calls, people will end up questioning your call when it's made, regardless of whether you have made the right decision or not. A leader's confidence inspires confidence in others. Ralph Waldo Emerson once said, "There is no limit to what can be accomplished if it doesn't matter who gets the credit." And that's so very important. It really doesn't matter who gets the credit. It matters in accomplishing things. If there is a key to being a leader, it is this: being a leader isn't about you, it's about those you lead. People have a hard time remembering that, and it's understandable. If leaders could remember that one true statement, the entire world would be a better place. The leader is the conductor of the orchestra. He needs to know when to step in and take responsibility. Don't be afraid to say stop or no if things are going wrong. And you don't need to push people into decisions that you are not comfortable making yourself. People and relationships are more important than what you say and even what you do. Accomplishments and results matter, but the main role of a good leader is to motivate and inspire other people to perform tasks well. You need to know how to delegate to be a leader and to help others in becoming leaders. Treating people like people is the best advice I can give to you. It seems very simple, but very few are able to accomplish it. My friend, the late Doug Henry, was a master at being gracious. After you interacted with him, you always felt better about yourself and about your place in the world. That's quite an accomplishment and a key for a successful leader. You will find that if you are always kind and helpful, it will pay dividends in the end. People who only help people to help them invariably find themselves in need of help and have nothing to offer. So be good to one another, stay on the path that you're on, participate in Boys State. You're putting yourself forward as someone who wants to take an active role in keeping Tennessee great. And I hope that you will continue on your journey this week and that you will find that you have successfully navigated the path of leadership. But I commend you all on your efforts and your dedication and what you're doing here today. And I just want to say thanks to what you've accomplished to date and what you will accomplish through this program. Thank you.
Gentlemen, I think we have time for some questions here. So as we did last night, if you have a question, just very quietly make your way to the center aisle and come down. Probably won't get all of them answered, but we'll try to do the best we can with the time we have. Can somebody go up there? You can use both rows.
All right. Mr. McNally, I had the pleasure of meeting you about a year ago, actually, at a Cumberland County meeting just about our politics in the community, and I luckily got to meet you firsthand. But I just wanted to ask, in that bill specifically that you just signed off for the budget, what do you guys have in plan for agriculture here in Tennessee in the next year?
Oh, thank you. Thank you. I appreciate that. There is some special funding that's dedicated that is an improvement. It wasn't in the existing base budget that we have for agricultural programs. I couldn't tell you offhand how much it is, but I do know that it is in there. We worked with organizations like the Farm Bureau to put the money in the budget.
Okay. Well, if you don't mind, I'm also wondering about the federal farm bill. Do you know of any changes that's going to be going on there? We're kind of left in the dark as a nation. What's going on with the farm bill?
I'm not really sure what will happen with that in Congress. I know it's something that our congressional delegation is keeping a close watch on, and we've got 2 senators that are in very important positions. And certainly I think that probably a lot of that comes under Senator Alexander he's got a lot of oversight over environmental programs as well as water and soil conservation and things like that.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you. Thank you for your questions.
Hi, good afternoon. Thank you for taking the time to speak with us. Governor Haslam's term will be ending in 2018. Do you intend on running for governor? And if not, is there a person currently in the race whose candidacy you'd support?
Well, the first part's easy. No, I'm not running for governor. And I guess I'm in the winter of my career in politics. And it's a real honor and privilege for me just serving as lieutenant governor. I'm also the Speaker of the Senate and in charge of the state Senate, so that's a real honor. As far as the candidates that are running, I have a lot of people that I know and that are good friends and that I work with. Mark Norris is our Senate Majority Leader. Beth Harwell is the Speaker of the House. Mark Green is another member of the Senate. There's a Mr. Lee that I don't know as well, but I do know he's a very successful businessman who's very dedicated. And Randy Boyd, who I know well, was our Economic and Development Commissioner. And Diane Black, I think, is another candidate who's a member of Congress and a member of or the chairman of the powerful Budget Committee. But you have a great selection there, and I'll support whoever's nominated. Be glad to support and work with them. Thank you.
Thank you. Hello. Hello, sir. I think I speak for all of Boise State when I say thank you for coming out here.
You're welcome. Thank you.
To my understanding, you are to be discussing House Bill 0495 this summer with House Speaker Beth Harwell this summer, right? I'm just wanting to ask, what's your opinion on the legalization of marijuana?
Oh.
I'm sorry.
I don't know if you're going to like my answer.
I'll like any answer you give me, sir.
Had spent 30 years as a hospital pharmacist, so my training is in pharmaceutics and drugs, and I've also seen the devastating effects that a lot of those drugs can have. I am not supportive of legalization of marijuana. I think that there's possibly some medical use for some of the compounds in some of the cannabinoids in marijuana, but still there's a lot of research that needs to be developed and needs to be done before it hits the market.
That was a perfect answer, sir. Thank you.
Thank you.
So thanks for coming out. My question is more of a personal one. So it seems you've had a very bountiful career. So I'm asking, what motivated you the most to get to where you are now? Like, what made you decide, I'm not going to quit here, I'm going to keep going?
Well, there were a couple of tough times in my life and in campaigns where I wondered whether I should continue on. And I always put a lot of stock in my faith as well as my family and how it affected them. I know I went through a difficult period of about 3 years where I worked with the Tennessee Bureau of Investigation and the Federal Bureau of Investigation in a public corruption investigation called Rocky Top. And it was during that I kind of thought a lot about whether I should continue and whether I could continue in politics. And I found out that if you really want to, you can. It just takes a lot more effort sometimes, but it's well worth it. But thank you very much for your question.
Yes, sir. Thank you for the answer.
Hi.
Thank you, Governor, for coming. What are your thoughts on the Improve Act as it relates to the gas tax? Do you feel that there could have been a better alternate, or is it, what are your thoughts on it?
Well, I supported it, and initially as the governor proposed it, the Senate amendment reduced the tax on gasoline and also increased some of the tax relief on the other side. The problem we ran into was that we didn't have enough money in a dedicated fund, which is paid for by users' fees, people who use the highways, who buy gasoline, pay for the maintenance and building of those highways, and our general fund, which pays for a lot of other things in state government, healthcare, education, probably the two biggest, but also corrections, safety, and other things. So we needed to do a little rebalancing, and the way we did it was we did an increase in the gas tax. Probably when it's fully implemented, it'll bring in about $350 million, and then we had over $400 million in tax relief on the other side. The problem with the gas tax is that it's fixed at so many pennies per gallon. It doesn't matter what the price is. It doesn't matter where inflation is. That price will stay the same. And probably as cars get better, people will end up paying less. The other hand, by reducing the food tax, that actually, of course, with inflation, it will grow, so the savings will grow for folks. So that's why I supported it. We did make some changes in the governor's program, and there were some changes on the House side, but we all worked together and were able to accomplish it. Thank you very much.
My name is Brett Lloyd, and I have a favor to ask of you. Is that all right? Can you sign my blue book?
Be glad to. Bring it up here.
Firstly, I'm very jealous of what he just did, but
Oh.
good on you. My name's Ian Hall. Me and the boy that actually asked you about the marijuana bill with the ponytail, me and him from our school, we come to the YMCA's Youth and Government Conference each year. And it's kind of an honor for you to be here talking about the gas tax bill whenever me and him had worked on it at YMCA Youth and Government to get it passed there, and now you guys got it passed in actual reality. So firstly, thank you for that. Secondly, as somebody, like in your own words, who is in the winter of his political career and is, has seen it all basically and is on his way up to the lieutenant governor, and as you can see, like the cusp of the future, leaders of our state, what advice do you have for us?
Oh, that's a great question, and I appreciate it, and appreciate your comments on the gas tax. So you all led the way, and that's good. I think the best advice that I could give you is to stay close to your family and your country and your religion. There is a lot that you can gather from people who have gone before you, and in listening to your parents and listening to other people in politics and people involved in religion and politics is extremely helpful. Developing a good set of friends is important. Making sure that you have people that you can rely on, people that have the same values that you have, and I think that's also critically important. But I think those are two things that would be essential, you know, in moving ahead and becoming a better citizen. Thank you.
Thank you very much for being here. My name is Alex Cruz. In regards to the gas tax that's been recently implemented, and the fact that it's a constant tax, like you said, and the fact that the reduction is exponential, do you think that in the future there will be more taxes to compensate for the exponential decline of the food reduction that you've made?
We do not think there will be. I think with natural growth in the GDP and the state output, we're bringing a lot of jobs to Tennessee, and that's based on having a low tax structure, being able to run the state efficiently, having a good environment, having a good well-developed, well-educated workforce. That's really helped us in moving ahead. And we're, you know, when you look at the different states, we've got one of the lowest taxes, state taxes on individuals. We've got one of the lowest debts. We're fully funded our pension system, and you could just go on and on. But businesses, it's important that they find a state that has a very stable economy. And we are growing that economy and at the same time trimming back on some of the excesses in government. And so that's how we intend to move into the future. And you're right, you know, the food, the loss of revenue from the food tax, you know, will not be what it was had we left it alone, and we'll see pretty much a level increase in revenue in the gas tax. But that's a very good observation. Very good. Thank you. Thank you. You must be a math major. Engineering. Good.
First of all, I'd like to personally thank you for coming out and speaking with us like the majority of the delegates have. It means a lot.
Thank you.
But my question was, do you know what Governor Haslam's plans are specifically? Like, does he have any major legislation like the Collaborative Conferencing Act or the gas tax in plan before he finishes his term as governor?
I'm not aware of any big programs. He's had a few. There's been a lot of emphasis on education. I think he'll continue to emphasize it, but I don't think there'll be a lot of big programs that come along in that area. He had Insure Tennessee, which didn't get off the ground, and then he had the reallocation of taxes, reduction of food taxes and cutting other taxes and increasing the gas tax. So I think that there'll be a lot in the areas of education and business recruitment, but I don't think there'll be any big bills or programs this next session.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you for being here, sir.
You're welcome.
And I just had a question of what were a few of your most memorable experiences from your time in public service over the years that will stay with you for the rest of your life?
Probably the most memorable, of course, working with the FBI and TBI in Operation Rocky Top. That was certainly something I'll never forget. But there was an incident even before that when I was a young representative, and there was a young man in our town who was injured, had a head injury, and was brought to the hospital and stabilized in the hospital, and then all of a sudden his brain had swollen and it herniated. Part of the brain pushed down through the skull. So that his parents wanted desperately to make something of this tragic situation, and they were wanting to donate the heart and lungs to another individual, and the people that did that, only people that did that at that time was Pittsburgh, was the closest one. And so we had Jet arranged to take the team from Pittsburgh to Oak Ridge, but the problem was getting them from the airport in Oak Ridge to Knoxville. And we were able to get a highway patrol helicopter to come in and take them from the airport to Oak Ridge. And then after they removed the organs, the heart and lung, they had a 6-hour window. So that was the critical piece. And we were able to get them on the helicopter back to the airport in a matter of minutes, where a car would have taken about 45 minutes, and then on their way to Pittsburgh. And it was a very bittersweet moment I'll never forget, when I saw the transplant team carrying a little cooler out to the helicopter. And I knew that, you know, there was possibly another life or 2 lives that could be saved. But unfortunately, it was the end of the young man's life. But his parents were able to find, you know, some peace in knowing that through his death, he provided life to someone else. But thank you for your question.
Thank you, sir.
We got time for one more question, and then we'll have to let the Lieutenant Governor get on about his day.
Hello, sir. Thank you for speaking.
Thank you.
You mentioned being an honest politician would always be a better policy than trying to lie or cheat your way through the business. Could you describe a time in your career where you had to oppose a policy that, or support a policy that was widely unpopular, or oppose maybe someone in a superior position to you, but because you knew that what you were doing was right, even though it might cost you your career?
That relates to the Rocky Top investigation. Would probably be the big one, and it was like I mentioned, an undercover investigation into public corruption, and I actually it was seemingly innocent at first. An individual approached me and said, you know, they represent a powerful organization of Association of Bingo Operators, and they supported candidates that supported them, and they were helpful to candidates that supported them, and they gave money to candidates that supported them. And while all that sort of was legal, it certainly, talking about money and everything, was in the gray area. And I made a call to the local FBI agency in our office in Knoxville, and they sent an agent up along with a TBI agent, and said that they had noticed that there was a lot of problems with bingo charters and the bingo association, things like that. And would I be willing to help? And it was about a 3-year investigation where I was undercover and used, you know, had wires, things like that. So it was, and I wondered after it whether it would affect my ability as a legislator, because, you know, there would be questions about, well, the FBI got him to do that because he was dirty, you know, and those type of things. And then there'd be people who were mad because some of their friends were involved in it and they went to jail. I think there were close to 75 people went to jail in the investigation. So it was a pretty big investigation. So, you know, it turned out, as it turned out, it worked out. You just have to have faith and strong beliefs and, you know, the support of your family. That's so critical because they're there when nobody else is. And also it was a real privilege for me to work with the FBI and TBI, and I developed a real sense of respect for what they do and the professionalism that they used. And it was a tough time, but you know, you get through them and you're hopefully stronger for it. But thank you.
Thank you.
Oh, thank you.
Well,
Thank you. This is a great group.
It's a great group. Governor McNally, a small token of our appreciation for you to be here. We certainly appreciate your wisdom and your words to the delegates here. But this is a Tennessee American Legion Boys State commemorative coin we'd like to present you with.
Thank you. Thank you.
And if we could, give the governor one more round of applause.
Great group of people.